Imagine you are sitting at your kitchen table late on a Sunday night. You are 35 years old. You have a master's degree hanging on the wall behind you. You know the quadratic formula by heart. You can perfectly explain the powerhouse of the cell. You know the exact dates of ancient historical battles. But right now, you are staring at a 30-year mortgage document, a car loan agreement, and a massive credit card statement, and your hands are literally shaking. You realize in a moment of sheer panic that you have absolutely no idea what you are looking at. You have no idea how interest rates are compounding against you. You have no idea how to actually build wealth. You know what is crazy? You spent 16 years in a classroom, passing exams, writing complex essays, and following every single rule society gave you. You were a perfect student. But not once in all those years of education did anyone sit you down and teach you how to actually manage the money you were studying so hard to earn. It was completely, entirely, and deliberately ignored. Before we dive in, remember this video is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. Welcome to TAFA Finance, where we explain investing concepts in a simple way. In this channel, we spend way too much time thinking about how people sabotage their own wealth without even realizing it. The concept we are talking about today is the deliberate blindfold. We naturally assume that schools are designed to teach us everything we need to survive in the real world. We assume that if financial literacy was actually important, it would be a mandatory subject right next to history and mathematics. But the truth is exactly the opposite. You were not taught how money works because the entire modern economic system relies heavily on your financial ignorance. If you understood exactly how compound interest worked against you, you would never take out a toxic consumer loan. If you understood inflation, you would never leave your life savings sitting in a dead checking account. And letting the system keep you financially blind is the exact psychological mechanism that guarantees your wealth will be permanently destroyed. Following the normal path in society is an absolute, guaranteed recipe for becoming poor. Let me break down the math for you. Let us look at the brutal reality of what happens when you follow the exact financial path that society and the education system laid out for you. Imagine two highly educated individuals, Person 1 and Person 2, both make 100,000 USD a year. Person 1 does exactly what society taught them to do. They get a good job, and they immediately reward themselves to look successful. They buy a 50,000 USD brand new luxury car on a 6-year loan at 7% interest. They buy a massive house with a 500,000 USD mortgage on a 30-year term at 6% interest. They finance their furniture. They feel incredibly successful. They look rich to all of their neighbors. But mathematically, they are completely trapped in a financial prison. Look, and I need you to really listen to this. The hidden costs of this normal lifestyle are completely destroying their future. Over the life of that car loan, Person 1 pays over 11,000 USD just in interest. Over the 30-year mortgage, they pay almost 580,000 USD in interest alone. They literally pay more in invisible interest to the bank than the original purchase price of the actual house. Person 1 works 50 hours a week, exhausted and stressed, but the vast majority of their income goes directly to banks and lenders just to service their debt. They are on a treadmill they can never step off. Now, look at Person 2. Person 2 realizes that normal is a trap. Person 2 uses money as a tool to print assets, not to buy liabilities. Instead of buying a 50,000 USD car on a loan, Person 2 buys a highly reliable 15,000 USD used car in cash. Instead of buying a massive house immediately to impress people they do not even like, they rent a modest, affordable apartment and ruthlessly invest the massive difference. What is the opportunity cost here? Person 2 takes the 800 USD a month that Person 1 is spending on their luxury car payment and invests it in a boring broad market index fund averaging an 8% annual return. In 30 years, that single decision compounds into over 1,100,000 USD. That is the actual cost of financial ignorance. Person 1 is permanently stressed, hoping they never get fired because they have massive monthly payments. Person 2 is a quiet millionaire with absolute freedom and peace of mind. That is not a coincidence, that is a pattern. The middle class is entirely trapped because they were never taught how to calculate opportunity cost or how to tell the difference between looking rich and actually being wealthy. Here is the part that surprises almost everyone. Highly intelligent, deeply educated people are actually the fastest demographic to fall into this trap. Why do incredibly smart people willingly sabotage their wealth by buying liabilities and staying ignorant about money? It comes down to deeply ingrained psychological traps and institutional conditioning that completely bypass human logic. First, the psychology of school conditioning. The education system was literally designed during the Industrial Revolution. Its primary goal was not to create independent, wealthy thinkers. Its goal was to create obedient, punctual factory workers. You were trained for 16 years to sit quietly, follow instructions, and wait for a bell to ring. You were trained to seek external validation in the form of letter grades. This creates a devastating psychological shift when you become an adult. Because your brain is biologically hardwired to seek the A grade, you look for the adult equivalent of a good grade when you enter the workforce. And society tells you that the adult A grade is a luxury car, a massive mortgage, and designer clothes. You violently abandon your financial logic because buying expensive things feels like a faster path to emotional safety and social validation. You protect your fragile ego by looking successful, but you completely destroy your financial foundation. Elite wealth creators hack this biological bug by intentionally unlearning their school conditioning. They realize that true status is having full control over your calendar, not having a shiny car in the driveway. Second, the abstraction of inflation and the fiat system. Schools teach you complex calculus, but they absolutely refuse to teach you what happens when a government prints endless amounts of money. The human brain evolved over millions of years to understand physical scarcity. If you have 10 apples, you know exactly what they are worth. But the modern financial system is built on fiat currency, which constantly loses value. Because inflation is invisible, your primitive brain does not register the threat. You leave 100,000 USD sitting in a savings account earning zero interest, completely unaware that inflation is silently stealing 4,000 USD of your purchasing power every single year. You literally exhaust your life savings just because the financial industry made the destruction of your money invisible. You pay a massive financial premium just for the illusion of safety. The rich hack this by realizing that cash is basically a melting block of ice. They immediately convert their melting cash into hard, productive assets like businesses, real estate, and broad market index funds that actually grow faster than the rate of inflation. Third, the trap of consumer debt normalization. Society has engineered the perfect psychological weapon against you by focusing entirely on monthly payments. When you go to buy a car, the salesman does not ask you if you can afford the 50,000 USD total price. They ask you how much can you afford per month. Your primitive brain is a biological machine violently optimized to focus on immediate survival rather than long-term consequences. Because 800 USD a month feels manageable today, your brain completely ignores the catastrophic reality of being trapped in debt for 72 months. You falsely believe that because you can pay the monthly fee, you can afford the item. Because your wealth is tied up in these irrational emotional decisions, you exhaust your mental energy fighting a losing battle against your own liabilities. You trap your future in decades of financial stress simply because driving a new car triggered your primitive reward system. The wealthy hack this by always looking at the total macroeconomic cost of a purchase, including the compound interest they are losing by not investing that money instead. Here is the catch. You can completely rewrite this toxic biological and societal programming by attacking the root identity of your financial habits. You cannot just rely on manual willpower to stop buying things. You need a cold, hard system to protect your money from your own emotional brain and from the traps society set for you. Decide that today you will practice radical self-education. Stop relying on the traditional system to teach you how to be free. The system is just as insecure and exhausted as everyone else. You must establish a strict mechanical boundary that forces you to learn what they hid from you. Decide right now that you will spend exactly 30 minutes every single day reading about personal finance, market history, or investing psychology. Do not rely on your feelings. Force yourself to sit down and read the boring financial books. You mathematically force your logical brain to take control back from your emotional brain. You build unstoppable psychological momentum because you are finally learning the rules of the game you have been playing blindly your entire life. Decide that today you will buy assets before you buy lifestyle. Your financial anxiety is directly influenced by the fact that your money is flowing into liabilities that lose value every single day. If you buy a new car, it drops in value the second you drive it off the lot. You must completely remove this toxic habit from your financial life. Every single time you get paid, you must assign your money to buy a productive asset before you buy anything else. Income must flow into investments first. If you want a luxury item, you must wait until the cash flow from your investments can pay for it. By giving every strict mathematical mission to buy your freedom, you safely starve your biological urge to look rich. You mathematically trap yourself into building wealth because your money is already deployed building a fortress before your ego has a chance to spend it. Decide that today you will redefine ultimate status. You must completely remove the human ego from your saving strategy. Stop trying to prove to your high school friends that you made it. Because I promise you, nobody actually cares about the logo on your shirt. You must decide today that true status is paying yourself first. True status is having a massive cushion of liquid cash and index funds working silently in the background while everyone else is panicking over their car payments. Unfollow every single influencer who sells the illusion of easy luxury. By completely removing the toxic social comparison from your daily life, you mathematically free up your mental energy to focus entirely on increasing your actual skills and buying back your time. Big takeaway. The absolute fastest way to stay permanently broke is to deeply believe that the traditional path of taking on massive debt to look successful is the right way to live. True wealth is not about out-earning your terrible spending habits to finally feel superior to your neighbors. True wealth is about absolutely refusing to surrender your capital to a primitive emotional need for social status and convenience. True wealth is owning the boring, invisible digital systems that capture and compound your money over time, while everyone else is panicking and destroying their peace of mind, trying to figure out how to pay off their liabilities. If you look at your past and realize you have completely panicked and wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars following the script society handed you, take a deep breath. Do not panic. You are not stupid. You are not lazy. You are not a weak person destined for failure. You are simply fighting against millions of years of human tribal evolution and a meticulously designed financial marketing machine that relentlessly prioritizes your obedience and your consumption over your long-term survival. Wanting to feel successful is completely normal. The problem only starts when that desire begins making your financial decisions for you and trapping you in debt. Acknowledging this psychological warfare and this deliberate lack of education is the very first step to escaping it. You have the ultimate power to step out of your comfort zone, ignore the normal path, and build a fortress of real wealth right now. If you found value in this breakdown, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so we can keep making these videos for you. Let me know down in the comments. What is the most important financial lesson you had to learn the hard way because school never taught it to you? Be honest. I read every single one. Also, check out this other video on the screen right now where we break down another massive investing myth. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.